Hello YouTubers, and for those of us that have arcade gaming systems such as RetroPie, Batocera and Recalbox, I've got a tool that launches your ROMs and tests them to see if they work, or tries to establish if they work. Of course there's tools like CLR Main Pro which will check the validity of a ROM, but it doesn't actually test whether it starts or not. So this is what I came up with. It's a small little program called ROM Audit Tool. It's available on my GitHub at github.com, muckypaws/ROM Audit Tool. You can git clone the repo onto your Pi, or you can just zip it and download it and FTP it across. So there are instructions in the repo. There's a Quickstart guide here, which will get you going to your first audit fairly quickly. What we're going to do is we're going to download the code as a zip file. Extract it, and so we've got all of the modules here from the repo. Now, I've deliberately made it opaque. Transparent, so that you can see what is happening in the background. So once we're logged in, we're in the home directory. We need to go into RetroPie, and then we need to make a directory called ROM_audit. At the moment, it's fixed. We haven't got anything in there at the moment. We unzipped all the files, so I'm going to go to FileZilla. Refresh the directory, and then we're going to connect to the Raspberry Pi. The default is retropie.local, although the IP address on your system may be different, and the default password is Raspberry and port 22, and we're going to connect. Here we see we've got all the directories. We need to go into RetroPie and our newly created ROM audit. And all we're simply going to do is copy all of these files across, like so. And now we can see these modules. To make sure that the files are all correct and that you're on the right version of software, we're going to run the prerequisites check first. So we're going to run Python 3, and in the scripts we're going to run prereqs.py, and this will do some basic checks and give you any warnings or errors. So this looks pretty good to go. Now, before we do a full audit, your systems may have hundreds, thousands of ROMs, which could take a long time. We just want to run through each ROM in each system that we have configured to see if there's any obvious errors, configuration, BIOS is missing, etc. So we're going to run Python 3, romaudit.py, and we're going to limit it to 1 per system. And this is just a simple check to run through every system and selecting 1 ROM to check. You'll see in the background there what's displayed on the screen. For RetroPie is unique in that we kill emulation station, as you can see, but we can't restart it from an SSH shell. We have to do it from the actual console. So you will need to reboot the Pi after you've finished all of your errors and all of your checking. So as you can see here, we've got a dashboard. It tells us which system is being worked on at the moment, how many systems have been tested. So we've got 3 out of 10. The current ROM name, and then the ROM 1 of 1, we're only testing 1, and then the current status, and then obviously we can see the screen here through the power of screen capture. We get a dashboard that tells us how many are okay, how many are fixed, how many have got errors, how many are genuinely errors it can't fix, missing cores, missing BIOSes, timeouts, imperfect, needs review, and then of course the remaining count. We've also got the elapsed time, the estimated time for completion, and CPU temperature, and then a snapshot of the logs, which will tell us how long, which core, and whether it's okay or needs further work. And then when we've reached the end, then we get a summary. Everything is stored in files. The last error log you will always see here. The results are stored in ROM Audit.csv, so we can do we just cap that. But it's not particularly user friendly. But we see here the system, the file name, whether it was okay. So there's a little tool in scripts called Summary that you can run, and in here you can see that out of the 10 that we tested, there was a total of 8 that were okay, 2 with errors, 1 that needs review. So we've got 80% that are running and 2 that are outstanding. Now we can have a look to see which ROMs are in error. So Python 3, scripts, ROM list, and then we can add a filter. So in this case, the error is again called pacman.zip, and in the arcade section. So we can try to test that and auto fix it. So Python 3 ROM audit.py -- system arcade -- test pacman.zip -- autofix. And what this will do is attempt to go through all installed cores to find one that will work with the ROM. Some cores are more strict than others. We get a list here. On the first one we're trying MAME 2003, but it errored. It says that there's a wrong checksum. So it's not recognised, although it does appear to be running, it didn't like it. We then try 2003 plus. Again, it's errored for the same reason, so we do mark that as an error. But the third one, MAME 2010, it launched and it was okay. So if we go back to the logs here, we can see that the result was okay and an override was created here. So we can see that there's an entry and then also another entry here where we're overriding the default core to start with MAME 2010. The question is why, and this is because this isn't really Pac-Man, it's to run on Pac-Man hardware. The game is Pac-Manic Miner Man, created by Jim Bagley, who is well known in the retro community. And something that he personalised for me, so it wouldn't match the signatures known by MAME. But thankfully, MAME 2010 ignores all that. So we're back down to the summary. So Python 3 scripts summary.py, and now we've got one that needs review in Coleco. So we can again do Python 3 scripts ROM list -- needs -review. And that we know that it's RO-2021.ROM. So again, we can do Python 3 -- system Coleco -- test RO-2021.ROM -- autofix. Oops. Might help if I actually put in the file name, wouldn't it, guys? So again, if there's any additional install cores, it will test them. Now here we see that there is an error. I'll just move that out of the way. And then if we cap the log again, we can see here that we saw the grey screen. There's a screenshot that's saved in audit logs, Coleco, and it's got the name of the file name, and then we've got as a directory, and then any files that are relevant. So we're saying that FB Neo reported it okay, but we can't trust it from the logs alone because it doesn't give you an error if it doesn't recognise the ROM. So in this instance, you need to run with the heuristic parameter for pixel-based confidence. Let's do that again. So we can do this and then add in heuristic. So as you can see here, we've got the grey screen of death. ROM set is unknown. Screenshot was taken and captured. Content is being checked. And according to the screen analysis, 100% of it was uniform light colour in the sampled region. It's likely a blank error screen. So no combinations is the result that's recorded, and there is no alternate cause installed. So this is a genuine problem that will need further investigation. If we have a look now, we've got the log, we've got the error logs from the last ROM that we tried to check. Let's have a look at this. You can review this, but in this case, FB Neo isn't appropriate for Coleco on my system. And then we can move into audit log. So if there's any ever errors or screenshots that are captured, here we go. Going to move into Coleco, and then we've got Arno dash, and in here we've got a snapshot of the error logs, and then also the PNG, which is a screen capture for you to review at a later date. Okay, so let's go back. You've done the initial test, so we know that we've got an issue that does need further investigation, which is good. But you want to test all the remaining ROMs on the system. Or you've installed some new ROMs. You've done a complete list. Here's another feature. So Python 3, ROM audit.py, -- new. So this should pick up all new ROMs that it hasn't tested previously. Again, we get further startup information. Now, this time, it knows it's got how many ROMs remaining. Six ROMs to check. So the stats are moving up. So 11 are okay, 0 fix, 0 error, etc. And there we go. That is a simple snapshot. We can run the summary again. And we know now that we've got 16 ROMs that are installed on the system that it's detected. 15 are okay. 1 is in error and there's no combination. So this one needs further review and analysis. Hopefully this shows you in a nutshell very quickly what the tool can do. If you want to take it a little bit further, you can recheck everything and you can add a checksum. So we can do ROM audits pi -- recheck all -- checksum, and we can have MD5 or SHA-1. For this, I'm just going to put in MD5. And we're back. We can have a look at the ROM audit CSV file, and now you can see we've got recorded checksums for each of the ROMs that we've tested. Why do you need this? I've found that when upgrading systems like Batocera from 38 to 43, some ROMs failed, and I discovered that some ROMs had been modified for some reason. Maybe I'd shut the system down too quickly, problem with the memory card. So we can then, if we have a checksum here, every future run will validate that checksum and report back if there's been any modifications to it. But I'll cover that off in another episode. So hopefully you found this useful. Hopefully you've reached the end. All the links and commands will be in the YouTube video below. Give it a try and then let me know via GitHub any issues or errors that you encounter for your system. Okay, many thanks.